Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to paint a landscape that has a row of trees at the back and a little like simple cabin in the woods. So for the first time, we're going to use a pencil to just record like where the little shed or cabin will be. This is a super simple building. So we need the top of a roof. I want it to go off my paper out of the composition. I'm going to draw an angled roof and have that go also off the composition. I'm going to draw the other half of the roof that goes this direction, the side of the building, the side of the building, and really that's pretty much going to be it. And you'll see I'll just add some shadows in here. So I don't want to draw anything else. I could make it smaller. I could make it close to the top or close to the bottom. It can be fairly simple. So in order to do this landscape, I'm going to paint the sky. So I'm going to come up with a bit of a blue color for my sky here. So you can see I've mixed up kind of a nice light blue. And I'm just gonna paint that down, added some water, paint that down my landscape, and I'm going to come actually like fairly close to the roof of the shed, even though you'll see we're gonna add a line of trees behind the building. If I want to, I can take and use paper towel to lift out some clouds in this sky. I can always come back and add a little bit of shadow into those clouds, so I can go ahead and if I like, I can make a couple clouds. I don't have to make clouds. That's kind of entirely up to me. I'm gonna dry a little bit off the bottom here because I want it to set up fairly quickly so that I can add a row of trees back here. So I'm just gonna use my paper towel, get a little bit more of that water off because I want to mix up some green now. So I'm using my sap green and mixing my green with just a little bit of red, just so it's not so perfectly green. We'll come back and we'll adjust these. So a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, kind of the, you know, the way we've been doing. And I'm going to think about just those lumpy kind of trees in the distance. So I'm just sort of lumping my paintbrush along here, and we'll come back and we'll darken these, but this is just sort of for the beginning phase. I want some trees to stick up and past my roof line on this little building. I wish I'd made my building a little smaller, but it'll work. So you can see I'm just pulling this past my roof, making sure that that's a nice line. We'll go back and we'll add more shadows and kind of definition in these trees just to make them look a little different. But this just gives us a base, kind of a foggy base green to work with. So this is gonna look like a cabin in the woods. Just gonna kind of decide where my trees are gonna end here. And know that we'll paint back on that. So I'm going to kind of mix some yellow and some green. So I have kind of a brownish sort of color right now, and I'm gonna come forward with that color just to kind of give myself a sense of kind of ground in this little landscape that we're making here. Again, I'm gonna add a little bit more of my brighter green as I come forward and kind of add that in. So I want kind of the sensation that part of my land is dirt. Maybe there's a driveway or something here, and that part is not dirt, it's grass, it's, you know, something else. So I'm adding in just a little bit of yellow, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of yellow. Remember, we can control kind of what season our landscape looks by changing those colors. So now what I'm gonna do is use, kind of let this set up. I could use a little paper towel to lighten a couple of these areas up, kind of maybe make more of that look like dirt. We're gonna let this bottom portion dry a little bit, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna mix some blue into my green so that I have a green that's distinctly darker. So I've mixed quite a bit of blue into my green, and now I'm also gonna mix in a bit of red to my green so that I have a green that's very, very deep and dark. And I'm gonna come back now while this is still a little wet, and I'm gonna put a little bit more distinction on my trees. I want this to feel like the woods are really deep and dark. So I'm going to add just some definition back here now. And it's gonna give us like another row of trees. Just this effect that there's something in front. I can give the illusion of lighter tree trunks if I want. I'll have to go back and fix those. I decided I don't like them, so I'm gonna leave them off. I can make the illusion of a little bit of a pine tree by just making a pointy row. There, that's better. And I'm going to continue these kind of darker trees in front of my lighter background trees all the way across this roof line, right? Now I'm going to mix up a gray. So I can use my black with a lot of white, or I can mix up a gray by mixing two complementary colors together. Blue and orange work really well. You'll see I hit my trees. Those are still very, very wet. You want to be careful when you do that. Right now, I am just painting my shed a color, and you'll see it's all kind of the same color, which works just fine. So what I'm gonna do is squeeze my paintbrush dry and just kind of go along the top of the roof of my shed because I need to get rid of, so I'm finding my outline, cleaning my paintbrush off, squeezing it dry, and I'm just pulling off the paint that I put on the roof. I want a little bit of that gray color, but this way my roof will sort of end up a little bit of gray, but not completely gray. I'm gonna do some of the same over here. Just gonna pull a little bit of this off. And kind of get my line back. I had a lot of green drift in here to my cabin, but I'm not gonna worry about it that much. Okay, I'm gonna have to let this dry a little bit now. I have too much wet paint to add the finishing touches. So we are going to shift to the beginning of a forest that has birch trees.